today we're gonna talk about a message I had on a video I posted about trying to find the lead sound from Allan through plugins and stuff with the EQ parameters thing. And the guy said, oh, thank you for explaining that and not to do the bullshit phrase, which is, oh, but the sound is in the hands. And I thought, well, actually it is. Because I remember an interview with Chad Walkerman, who was saying that Allan was in his house for some reason, and he wanted to show him something. He took like a Stratocaster and plug in an amp, and it sounded like Allan without any gear. So of course the gear in the big names, well, you know, the original sound and tone is used in a way that emphasizes the way they play. So, you know, Allan's got legato, Pat Metheny go thick tone and stuff like that. So in a production way of thinking, for instance, Pat Metheny always chosen, because he's got such a dark tone in the, you know, the tone of the guitar is really closed and very muddy and bassy. He always, if you notice, decided to have drummers with amazing cymbals work to get the brightness in the overall vision of his music. The cymbals of the drums are really enriching his tone and giving space for him in the middle bass range, like the Allan was opposite ways, like only in the mid range where he plays, because the legato using more mids and less bass and less tops in the guitar and in the amp allows the legato to come up more, to have the sound he has in mind from the fingers. Okay, so in this case I just logged in my amp. This is connected, but it's not actually in the send return, so I'm just with the guitar right in the distortion amp channel. As he was doing, I just took off all the bass off, and the mids are quite high, probably about 8 or 9, and the tops are about 1 or 2, and the presence is quite high presence, so you get the distortion from the presence and not much from the gain of the amp. Of course he was using boosters and stuff before, but what I'm trying to say is that if you play in a different way, and then later we're going to go in the control room to mix what we've done with one single track mono of a guitar and amp, we can really recreate Allan's old tone, I would say, using some delays in the space and equalization. As you know, I said before, it's very basic to get his tone to cut at the top, like a dresser, he was saying, cutting the bass and cutting the tops and leave everything in the middle. But so what I suggest to you to do, I'll just play you my tone with the bridge pickup and the amp alone, with the amp setting. So it's quite basic tone. So what I try to have is to put down the pickup a lot. If you see, it's quite low on the strings, so it doesn't get that punch, the punchiness of the, you know, high pickup really in the area where the magnetism really works hard. You want to pick up really low, so you get softer tone on there. Also, talking about the guitar electronics, Allan was using the 250 instead 500 in the volume, and that's darkening the tone as well. So I would suggest to come down to about 8 or 9 or 7, depends on the guitar and the pickups you're using, and possibly half tone down to 5. So I'll go about 8 and try some line. Even more, less volume, and close the tone a bit more. Yeah, that sound is quite straight away. And and the technique, I would suggest you to practice a lot of stretch legato, like diminished minor thirds, this kind of stuff. And what you're trying to have, and I think it was the inspiration of his tone originally, is if you had the luck to play with some saxophone players, when they don't play the notes but they blow in the thing and they move the fingers on the fret of the sax, you're gonna hear this. You hear it? So this is exactly the sound of the saxophone. I don't know what is called this in English, but when they press the fret and it closed the hole, you had this note. Okay, and that is what Allan was controlling so much with perfection. And he said in another video I saw online that he works a lot to have to realize that every note he plays is got the same volume. So see, my second one doesn't sound like the others, with this figure of 1 3 2 4, for instance. So any practice, now it's sounding the same. So this movement I need to practice to get the same volume of the pressing. So muting the strings here, it really helps you to work on the left hand. Then you try to do all the permutation of the fingers, so 1 4 2 3. Maybe change strings. 1 3 2 4. And then 1 4 3 2. It's more difficult. You see, there is a lot of work to do on the left hand to be fluent as he was with this tone. Okay, so exercises, he was keeping strings. So be more open, like a semitone and minor third, like diminished scales. And in the melodic lines, it was slowing down. What you need to work is a lot of vibrato at the end of the phrasing, and try to play melodies on one string only, like he was doing this kind of stuff with slurring on fourth, or on two strings going up and down with some slurring, like when you figure out where to go for the scales you want to play. But that's the concept of having one note and holding it with vibrato and just moving around. Okay, that's it. So let's go in the studio, and I recorded what I play on the track, and we try to mix it in a way that is gonna finally sound like real Holdsworth. Okay. Okay guys, so here we go in the control room where I recorded what I just done on the pure amp sound with just the guitar and the distortion channel, with the volume and the tone down a bit, and as I said, is the 250 instead 500 with the tone a bit closed. So I'm gonna show you the screen now. Okay, so as you can see, this red one here, let me just color that yellow like that so you can see that. This is the guitar track as it is. So I just play you without the music the pure sound of the amp which I achieved. Okay, so this is really clean with the amp and the mic basically. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is to recreate at least 4 of the delays he was using to create this stereo effect, a bit more big sound. So what I want to do is to double the track twice. So I prepare already 2 tracks here, so let's put that pink and that's blue, and I just pan it left and right, and I already put in groups so I can move the volume of these 2 extra tracks. But the first thing I want to do is to move them, delay them. So he was using a delay, but in Pro Tools or in Logic, what you can do is just to shift the same track away, so creating a delay. And the delay was about, in the early stages, around 90, 100 on one channel, and 120, 130 on the second channel, on the left channel, and right channel, sorry. So what I'm going to do, that I calculated in samples what a millisecond is. So it's becoming out that the left channel, it should be around 120 millisecond delay, is 5,300 samples. So I'll go to samples here. I'll put this 5,300 and I press. So as you can see, if I go here, I got this marker, and this track has to go in the marker here. I need to get a bit bigger in samples. Great, that's sample. No, undo. Okay, that's the sample, right? So I shifted this track with this amount here, very small amount, it's like 90 milliseconds. That's one. And then this one instead is 4,000. So we are 4,000 sample, and I'll go another marker here, which is this one. So that's to be shorter delay, and we're gonna have about there. Go bigger. You see in sample, that's the maximum, and we are here. So at the moment I have these 2 delayed tracks, and as you can see here, I created a delay, so I shifted later, and one is a left, the latest one is a left, and the shorter one is at the right. So now I create a group so I can solo and change the volumes at the same on both tracks at the same time to balance the main track with this extra track, and you will hear straight away a kind of an echo sound on it. So I'll just go and minus everything, and as while he's playing, maybe I can put it in loop here, and we can add slowly these 2 tracks on top. Without. So this explains the room, kind of roomy sound he had in the first records. probably took it off in the late 90s, and in the 90s with 16 month it was more pure, without too many delays. But in this case, you know, we're talking about Watercliff Tower, all those records with that echoey sound, like kind of mids based, and this room and delay helps as well the mids to come out and the guitar to sound bigger. So the first thing I want to do now on this track in solo, which is the original track, is EQ even more the amp. So this is bypassed, so that's the pure sound. And if I add this, what I've done is to filter about 100 Hertz completely straight, so I don't have all these frequencies here, and the same at the top. So I emphasize is the 900 to emphasize even more the mids, because the amp couldn't do it. And here I reduced a bit of the bass, middle bass, about 300 Hertz, 200 Hertz. Does depend on the mix. So if I put the music on now and muting the delay tracks, I just balance the tone with this cut on the bass. So I leave this air cut shape. See now, with the plug-in on, the EQ on, I took off all the rubbish happening, you know, over 4,000 something, which is the pick sound, the string sound, so it's clearing up the mids even more here. So if you hear the difference without the plug-in, you will hear it's much more harsh on the top. Like that phrase, when I go at the top, listen without and with the EQ. So it's cleaner. Okay, now I'm gonna apply the same plugin, the same EQ, even if I'll probably play more left and right with a bit more bass on one side to emphasize the stereo, but for time we just do the same EQ. So basically the track is the same, just delayed. And so now we have in that echo sound with the other two, and I balance in the volume of the extra two tracks to match the sound I like. Okay, so now we managed these first two delays. So let's talk about the normal delay. We use about 400 milliseconds and stuff. So I create here, you could do the same thing, but because I want a bit of feedback on that, I actually put two aux tracks with two delays, mono, one on 360 and one on 390. And I'll go to the bus here, 5 and 6, the same amount, and that's the track only on the main track. So the two extra tracks works like an echo room sound, and actually the one is the one you want to delay on for the solo to sustain the notes. So that's exaggerating the sound of that delay track to understand that there are not many repetitions, like a couple, but the delay is quite stereophonic. So in one side is very short and it's kind of in contra phase with the other side. So.
like a good amount. Let's try with the music, and I'll phase it in. So when you want to focus on the delay, these kind of delays, you want to see where you play quite staccato, so you can hear the actual amount, like in this case, amount of repetition I have, and I want to mix that part as main concept. To me it's too much, so that's it. So we're gonna have and then at last I want to have some reverb, like another room. So I send it to it, and I put a lexicon, a kind of ambience, large ambient. Here we go. I hope you enjoyed it. It's only an idea about how to recreate with a simple, gear, a similar sound. And it's not. I don't want to actually copy him at all. But if you wonder, just for the curious,